Welcome to Merschman Seeds Cup of Joe. On this episode, Dylan was at the ICM Conference earlier this week. Hear a recap of his experience and new information he learned about the future of farming. Hear about the Merschman Advantage and why we encourage you to choose our high-yielding products and service compared to the competition. Ben talks about our PowerCore Enlist Corn. And stay tuned for an exciting announcement from Joe.
Hi, this is Joe Merschman. Welcome to Merschman Seeds Cup of Joe. Today we have Ben and Dylan, and we have some interesting topics to talk about today. Plus, stay tuned, a big announcement. Let's start with Dylan. You were at, Ankeny, not Ames, at Iowa State. Tell us about where you're at and what's going on there.
Oh yeah, so this week, Monday and Tuesday, we had ICM Conference for all of us in the seed and like the co-op guys. So we had some pretty interesting speakers that we got to listen to both Monday and Tuesday all day. So we got to take lots of notes. So I'll touch on a couple of them. So we had a presentation from Mark Licht. He's really pushing getting those soybeans out first. We kind of talked about it in other episodes that if we have a good 5 to 7 days, once those beans get in there, they're really going to be pushing towards that top yield. They can handle a lot more kind of stress than getting that corn plant out in the cold or something. And then it can handle kind of less population. You really hit on that if we get kind of a lower stand, that it can really do some help.
Early planting, and your population doesn't need to be as high as what you think it is. Don't tell people that. We're in the seed business. Now, the reality is we've been pushing lower populations for years and years because we know it benefits you.
Yep.
And, how low can soybeans go? Well, from Crops and Soil magazine from 1982, I think, it's 2.5 beans per foot of row in 30-inch rows is where yield reduction starts. And nobody would leave a stand at 2.5 beans per foot, which, Ben, you say 60,000, that article said 40,000 is where it starts. But the key thing when you have low population, you have to have good weed control because sunlight's never wasted. A weed's going to grow there if there's not a soybean plant. So as you cut your populations, you've got to make sure you're putting residuals and make multiple modes of actions against those resistant weeds, or you're not going to be happy with a lower population. And we've actually seen in weedy fields, we're seeing where farmers are starting to increase their population just for weed control. Is that pretty much what they were saying?
Yeah, so he said if you get that final stand around 80 to 90 is what he would like to see anyway, but he's seen some other results that you can go lower, but he's kind of in that study right now of what's really your bottom line that you should go to.
Yeah, I would agree. That's optimum.
Yep, it's all about getting, when you're talking about the earlier planting, and you're correct, we have touched on this, it's all about getting the most nodes per plant that you possibly can. And I think everybody's goal should be, if planting is, if the time frame of early April for a good majority of our growing region, if early April is a time frame and the forecast looks right, we really should be shooting for that 21, potentially 22 nodes per plant. And we did that this year. We counted, and you could see a difference from the May planted stuff to the April planted stuff, that you're looking at 21, 22 nodes on the early stuff, and you're looking at 18, 19 on the later planted. So.
And that's changed in our company. I don't know if the other companies realize it or not, but we have to go faster to produce our seed. We have to have the seed at the dealerships by April 1st at the latest. And, some of you may not order to the end of the year or maybe even in January, and you're giving us, less than 100 days to produce that seed. So we appreciate early orders because we're producing at a really high rate right now to make sure that seed is delivered by April 1st, which I know you don't worry about it, but it's a big lots of moving parts that we got to do to produce seed and get it in place and get the right seed treatment and the right variety.
Yeah, so then another good article was Chad Hart. He talked about the markets. He was probably my favorite both days. So he's he's kind of optimistic. He thinks the soybean and corn are going to kind of stay where they're at market-wise right now, but then we might see a little bit of a decrease once we get into kind of 24. That's when we're going to start to see maybe a decline in pricing. So start paying attention to that. But then,
and you know why? Right now we know supply and demand, but they'll start talking about the big crop we're going to raise before we even plant it, and that typically gives downward pressure in certain situations. Of course, we have 2 crops now, South America and North America, so it's nonstop.
Yeah, and then they're expecting 3 million more acres of soybean production in 24. They're kind of switching from going to corn back to beans, so start paying attention to that. And then another key topic he talked about, there's a lot of new soybean processing plants that it's really starting to talk about for the near future. So if those all get built and start really using everything of that soybean, we could really see some good kind of benefit from that. And he says we'd use all the product in the United States. That would stay local for all these processing plants. We maybe even have to import soybeans to fuel all these plants.
Yeah, you're referring to like the one at Shell Rock, Iowa, which makes diesel fuel, and then they got plants that are going to make jet fuel. Basically, exactly same molecular structure as petroleum. So, all the airlines and everybody's trying to figure out a way to be regenerative, or basically, nothing to do with pumping oil. So, yeah, if those all get built, there's going to be a strong demand for soybeans. The big question is what are they going to do with all the meal that they're going to produce after they extract out of oil, and that could be good for the livestock, particularly hog people. Is the meal price goes down. So watch it. Yep, definitely.
Yeah. Yep, and then last one was about Iowa land values. It's kind of a cool numbers. So at the age of 30 to 35, less than 1% of the United States owns their farm ground. So there's a large majority of the older generation that have that farm ground locked down, you could say. And then over 85% of Iowa farmland doesn't have a mortgage on it. So that's a pretty impressive number. That there's a lot of land out there that's kind of locked up in the older generation's name. So
when will it become available for sale, right, Dylan?
That's right. So that's all I have.
That's very good. Well, there's always something to learn up there, and locally we'll be having our crop fair on January 11th, which is on a Thursday instead of a Friday. And so watch for the invitations, those in the local area of West Point, Iowa. The other thing that we wanted to talk about today is right now is big seed selling time. I mean, all the companies offer incentives for cash discounts and financing options and all this stuff that can save farmers a lot of money. So I always tell farmers the only reason you wait to buy your seed is if you want to pay more, and it's very true. So as we know, it's a very competitive industry. There's about 6 seed companies that call on every farmer, call on each of you, and they all say the same thing, I'm sure, that they have the highest yielding products and they have the lowest prices. And if that's what they tell you, you should run, because they're not focused on what's the most important thing, and that's yield. And that's what we do here at Merschman Seed. So we thought we would just do a rundown of why you should buy Merschman Seeds rather than another brand. And I'll let Ben lead it off with genetics.
Yeah, no, it's one of the things that I have been on the road this past week and visiting with farmers and kind of preaching and telling our story, and specifically in the corn lineup, when you're looking at the yield data that came from third-party testing that we sponsored this past year, you look at our 108 through our 115-day products, we have products that are stacked up against a lot of Pioneer and DeKalb checks, and we have the ability to yield and run with those products. I'm not going to stand up here and bang my chest and say we will win every single time, and we have products that are the best out there, but we do have products that can play with the big dogs, and we have salesmen that have the ability to get those products placed on the right acres so that they will outrun the competition. So we have the best sales class and the best some of the best products out there in the market that can compete. When you plant our portfolio, 2 or 3 products, we will be able to. We have a package that can outrun anybody out there.
And on top of it, we're using primarily promoting the PowerCore Enlist products, which basically give you 2,4-D, Liberty, Roundup, and FOPS technology, which is 4 post-emergent herbicides, which we're not suggesting that you focus on a post-program only, but give you some flexibility when weeds come in, that you have a way to clean things up. So it's the latest and newest trait. And it's in, like you said, some really good top-notch genetics.
Correct. And then from the soybean side, you look at our connection with MS technology, and it's been talked about from Corteva multiple times that Enlist is the #1 technology in the marketplace right now. The conservative numbers are 55% of U.S. market share is owned by the Enlist trait, and the leaders behind the technology and the germplasm that is coming out to the field is MS technology. So we have literally pipeline. We were talking about it before. We have so many different options on soybeans that are so good it makes the selection process difficult, because that breeding program is one of the biggest programs in the world, and we have first grab at a lot of those high yielding genetics.
Yeah, it just makes sense that with our ownership in MS Tech that you just come to us. I mean, because we're going to give it to you straight up, and we're going to make sure the supply's there, and then we take. Well, it really starts first of all with our seed growers. When it comes to quality, we work very hard on quality, and it starts with our seed growers. We have some wonderful seed growers, and some of them are, many of them are 2nd, 3rd, and headed towards 4th generation seed growers, and they take the time to do it right. We have inspectors that go out and check every field. Anytime we have an issue with a seed lot, we can track it back from your farm all the way back to the seed grower, and we have a photograph of that seed field, and we can look at anything from that standpoint, from that seed field to your bag. We have complete traceability, and we also have the barcode system for once it comes into the plant, how it goes through the plant, so we have complete traceability. We have a quality management system in place that we've worked on for several years that has steps, and we define everything step by step. So we work very hard on producing high quality seed. In fact, we even inspect the bins that the farmers put the seed into, and we make sure they're free of corn, and make sure they're swept out, and make sure that that process goes. We use as many belts as we possibly can in our system, and once seed comes into our plant, it never drops more than a foot. So, and once it gets into our plant, I think the big thing is we use a Westruff seed cleaner, which has 6 screens, and it full feed, multiple screenings, doing the same job. But the big difference is our Satake color sorters. I mean, I had a tour here about a week ago, and I told farmers, I said, I know what it's like to buy a combine. I said, we have 2 Satake color sorters in our plant, and it cost over $1 million to put them in. But what it does for the farmer is unbelievable. Every seed is looked at individually. Each seed is looked at with 2 different cameras from 2 different angles to decide, is that a good seed or is that a bad seed? We do it based on color, and we do it based on shape. So any of you that buy popcorn, or if you buy beans to make bean soup, those are all ran through color sorters. Color sorters were first designed for the food grade industry. They're very expensive machines. Not all the soybean plants out there have color sorters, and so it really sets our plant apart. And then, of course, Ben, talk a little bit about our seed treatment on soybeans. I mean, there are so many things going on in seed treatment, and there's so many options, but we use 6 different companies to make up our seed treatment. Talk about it.
Yeah. So whether it be the corn, the wheat, or the soybean treatment, we have multiple effective fungicides. We feel that we have effective insecticides. There's different kinds of insecticides that are on the market. We feel that we have one that is multi-directional because it's not too soluble that it washes off the seed. So the insecticide's a huge thing when it comes to bean leaf beetles or things of that nature. And the soybean end of things, we have biostimulants. We have tripidity on corn, soybeans, and wheat. So that tripidity gets the corn out of the ground, gets the beans out of the ground, gets the wheat out of the ground in a more even, faster style of emergence every single time. That's been tested for multiple years, and we can prove that. So that's a very, very good thing. We have biologicals, and we will continue to work on biologicals. I guarantee that we will have more biologicals in our bag in years to come. But we have biologicals that are working against sudden death. We have biologicals that are working against soybean cyst nematode. We have biologicals that are working against white mold on our soybean seed treatment. So there are no other large regional or national companies that are pushing the envelope like we are, from treating with multiple effective modes of action to help lower the farmer's risk and protect the yield potential of those soybeans. There's some downstream treaters that are putting products on like ours, but from the 3 main plants that we work directly with, nobody's pushing the bubble as hard as we are.
Yeah, and the advantage of buying the seed treatment from the manufacturer, you might say, if you want to call us that, is that it's a continuous process. In other words, we produce the seed, and then it goes right to the treater, and then goes into our bagging system. So it's not a separate process. And there's nothing wrong with a separate process, but in certain years when soybeans are dry, it can damage the seed. And a seed coat on a soybean, if you damage it in any way, the seed will be either an abnormal or it won't grow at all. So you handle soybeans like eggs, in other words, very, very carefully. And obviously 13% moisture soybeans can be handled a little rougher than 10%. As you know, the last couple of years we've had a lot of long extended harvest time where the moisture levels got down. So handling soybeans gently are very important. That's why we like to see the seed treatment come from the manufacturer rather than downstream. And then the other thing too is we have drying belts that make sure the seed is dry before we put it into our bagging bins and whatnot. So the seed treatment stays on the seed rather than to the sidewalls of the bin or the box or whatever process that you're using. Those are all little differences that add up to big differences in yield. And everything that we do, we don't focus on the cost. We focus on the yield result. So when we put our seed treatment together, we said, well, what's the lowest cost seed treatment we could put on that we could charge the most for and still give a little bit of benefit to the farmer? We go the other way. We go, what's the best seed treatment we can put on our seed that will give the maximum benefit to the farmer? And we absolutely hate replant because we stand that cost. With 100% replant, we cannot afford to have replant. And guess what? Neither can the farmer. So we're on the same side. So we actually are taking a vested interest in your crop by guaranteeing that you're going to get a stand. And that's very, very important. So everything we do, we focus on you. And I don't know if all the companies can say that. And that's really what it gets down to. And the other thing too is, if I was a farmer, I'd only buy seed from a family-owned seed company. I would not buy from the multinationals because they have different agendas. They have different reasons why they do things. We are too close to you to let you down. So that's why I would focus on looking at what Merschman has, or if you decide Merschman's not your best choice, another family-owned seed company. And there's less and less of us every day. 20 years ago, there was over 300 family-owned seed companies of consequence, less than 100 today. And that's just because it's a very competitive market out there, and it's no different than the family farm. They're getting larger and larger, right? And you have to be a certain size to play. So we work very hard for you, and we invite you anytime you want to take a tour of our facility. Come in, just give us a heads up that you're coming, and we'll roll the red carpet out for you and have you come in because we would like to show you what we do. We invest in people, we invest in product, and we invest in equipment to produce it and deliver it. That's where we put our money. And I think that's a big difference with us versus some of the other companies. Now, Ben, is there anything else on the aspect that we want to talk about today. We talked about corn, we talked about seed treatment, we talked about quality, just in general, but should we go to the big announcement?
Well, yeah, and I think you were hitting on it when you were talking about buying from a family-owned seed company that has the farmer's best interest. I think we're in a very, very strong position right now to make this announcement, and this announcement's going to carry on for years and years to come because we have the ability to give the farmer what he's asking for. So,
all right, we're going to make this announcement on our PowerCore corn. We will guarantee that if you order the hybrid, you will get the hybrid. We're not guaranteeing the weight or the grade, but the hybrid. We guarantee you will get the hybrid, and if you do not get the hybrid, the seed substitution will be free. And this is something that we had a few years ago when we had Merschman corn. We're going to bring it back in for this year on the PowerCore hybrid. So in other words, if you order a PowerCore hybrid, you will get that hybrid no matter what. And if you don't get the hybrid, the substitution will be free. Now, when we had this before, you know how many bags we gave away, Dylan, Ben? 0. And that's because we have state-of-the-art inventory management system. And believe it or not, production and sales work together. In other words, and you know what? I don't need to explain it. Let me run this commercial that we ran and had developed actually 9 years ago. And listen to this commercial, and this is exactly true today as it was 9 years ago. So watch the commercial.
Welcome to the Power Selling Training Series. Today, we're talking about substituting corn seed. Here at the Big Seed Company, we push our best known corn hybrids, whether we'll have enough seed to actually deliver or not. And then, when we don't have the seed, we pick the unimportant customers and replace what they've ordered with whatever we have in stock. But you may ask, what if they don't like the hybrids we substitute? We don't care. Here's the secret. You wait until the last minute, right before planting, then deliver the wrong stuff. Don't give them time to find any other options. Then they're stuck planting our unwanted hybrids. Hey, we've got to get rid of them somehow. We're the Big Seed Company. They'll take it. They always do.
Forget that BS. At Merschman Seeds, we're introducing the no substitution or it's free guarantee. Go to merschmanseeds.com for more information. Well, I know we all chuckle after watching that, but the reality of it is that's the reality of the seed industry from some of the what we call the BS companies, the big seed companies. So, Ben, you got a little bit more to add in on our PowerCore hybrids.
Well, wanted to finish touching up on that. I couldn't believe when I spent the beginning part of this week on the road visiting with farmers about Merschman Seeds PowerCore corn and talking about some of the challenges that farmers have and presenting some of this data that we got at the very end of the week last week. This data is, like I said, it's this third-party data that is 4-row plots, and we're going to have it on the website either Friday or Monday that our growers, it's not branded yet, so this is just my chicken scratch, but once it's branded, it'll be on the website that everybody can go look at it on how we handle the competition, whether it be Pioneer or DeKalb, which are very, very good checks, and there's some brand new numbers in here that are very, it's the best checks that you could use in the industry. So, but what surprised me when I was visiting with these growers and talking about the PowerCore Enlist Corn, how often those substitutions happen. And when I told them that we were going to be rolling this out, and originally we were waiting to do this till next year, but we're in a position to do it this year as well, they're like, really? You can guarantee that, and it'll be free if you substitute, because I bet 70% of the farmers in the room that I was visiting with on Wednesday afternoon and evening, I bet 70% of them had been substituted.
Well, you order a red car and it comes in blue, and they say, well, blue's just as good as a red. You're not going to be happy. I mean, there's a reason why you wanted a certain hybrid. And what we're hearing in the industry this year, there's going to be a lot of substitutions.
Yep.
And we're going the opposite direction. And so I think it's important that you get the hybrid that you ordered. And you may not get the grade size or a weight you wanted, but planters today can manage that part.
Right, and I know our weights right now. I know our corn's probably being produced right as we're speaking right now when we're filming this. So our seed size isn't extremely tiny, and our seed size isn't extremely large. We fit a nice pattern between 39-pound seed and like 58-pound seed or something like that. So we're sitting in a good spot.
And we have good supplies and the latest genetics, great PowerCore Enlist trait. I don't know what what you could ask for more, all right? So, in wrapping things up, I guess we go to the corny jokes, okay? And I apologize this year, or this session may not be the best ones, but I'm doing the best I can. I need some help from you. All right, I want to do a little math. Yeah, everybody math, challenging math, okay? I'm going to prove to you that 10 plus 10 and 11 plus 11, 10 plus 10 and 11 plus 11 equal the same thing. I want to prove that to you. Okay, 10 plus 10 is 20, right? 11 plus 11 is 22.
I see.
20 also, okay? Okay, all right, there you go. All right, for those that have livestock on, this is one for you. Why was the pig covered with ink? Why was the pig covered with ink? Because he lives in a pen. He lives in a pen. That almost made you. The last one, we did talk about all these soybean plants being built, to build biofuels, diesel fuel and jet fuel. I heard, this is brand new, a large oil company is going to start making gasoline from the urine of insects. I think it's BP. I wasn't sure of the company. I think it's BP.
That's a good one.
Okay. Anyhow, thanks for watching today. I know you're making your seed decision. Give us a look. Give us a call. We'd love to talk to you about the Merschman Seeds Advantage. We sincerely appreciate your business. We hope your family is safe and healthy. See you next week. Take care.